decided that I was going to continue with his life's partner, Leonore. And I used to go see whenever possible. Almost every Friday I used to spend time with Leonore. And I really got to know her very well. And it was a great chesed for me that I was able to do that. And I'll explain to you exactly why. As I spoke at Larry's Levaya, I spoke about the prophet Micha. The Talmud tells us that the Nevi'im tried to come and reduce Torah to the major aspects. It's hard to think, keep 613 mitzvahs. How could I think about all of them? And it tells us that ultimately Micha came, V'amidon al shalosh. He told us three things that we have to do to be good, to do what Hashem wants. Yigid l'cha adam matov. U'ma'Hashem doresh v'mcha. What does God want from you? Ki ma'asos mishpat v'avatz chesed v'atznei alecha elokecha. To do justice, to love chesed, and to walk humbly. That might seem very simple. But first of all, I want to just talk about, and really what I said for Larry, as Marilyn already said, there were a couple that were images of one another. Although they were very different in their personalities, Larry was more laid back, Leonore was more dynamic. They were true partners in what they wanted to accomplish in this world. And let me just tell you a little bit. You all know about the myriads and myriads of institutions and all kinds of causes that they gave to all over the world, in Eretz Yisrael, in Dayton, in Florida, in Columbus. But it's interesting that if we look at what the Navi says, Asos mishpat va'avas chesed, to do justice and to love chesed. He could have said Asos mishpat v'chesed, do mishpat and do chesed. The Navi gave us a big challenge. It's not enough to do chesed. Most people, when they see someone in need, they'll do chesed. Unfortunately, some even not that, but most people. But to be an avas chesed is a different madrega. It's a different level. Avas chesed means that you love. When you love something, you go after it. In their life, they showed what avas chesed meant. Their business was only really secondary to them. Their main business was chesed. I was privileged to be in many of the wonderful deals, so to speak, that Larry and Leonore did together, and they did them all together. They made the decisions together. I think particularly of the last few that I was involved in as a broker only. And I see Neil Moss and Karen so that they know. One was Kfar Saba. And when they went into a deal, they wanted to know exactly what they were going to give to. Was this really something that required this outpouring of cash and funding? And so they went and they sat and they learned all about Kfar Saba, and then they went back and they always thought it over. And then they came, of course, with the right decision always. And the same thing was with Counterpoint with Yeshiva University. I remember when Rabbi Brindi came and we sat and we spoke about it, and they thought about it, and again, the two of them discussed it, and they came back and they made that decision. But their whole life was to Avas Chesed. Every time they went to Eretz Yisrael, and Larry had so much pleasure in telling me about those deals. A lot of times Leonore didn't like that he told me so much. He said, Larry, enough, because they were very humble people, and they didn't want to talk about the deeds they did. But I was so interested how he picked out the various institutions and causes in Eretz Yisrael to help out, to think in the old city, handicap for excess. I mean, how many people would think of that? You think, oh, the Kotel, I'm going to give something for the tunnel. He thought about those people, Nebuch, who it's difficult to walk and to get to it. And so they decided that they were going to do handicap all over the old city so that people who unfortunately were not capable of walking on their own, they would have access to it. And the truth is that Leonore left us a great legacy. Not only the legacy of all the institutions that continue on after her, but the legacy that she left, I know for myself and Rachel, is she was a model. As I said of Larry, he used to call me many times, I'm his rabbi. And I said, no. I said, he is my Rebbe in terms of what chesed means. What avas chesed. It means to, David HaMelech said that. Ach tov v'chesed yidefuni kol yimei chayoy. I want to be pursued by chesed. I want to fill my life with chesed. Not when it comes along, okay, I'll help out too. But to go and seek out and to see what the people need. And it's amazing. Many times when I would say to Leonor, oh, you did this, and she right away would say, no, everybody can do it. She says, you don't have to have cash. You can do it without cash, with deeds, which is very true. Everyone can do chesed. It's one thing to do chesed when it comes along. It's a second thing to have what the Navi says, ahavas chesed, to love chesed. And that is part of the great legacy that Leonor really left, not only for her children, but for all of us. To be ohavei chesed, to run after, to do chesed, to make it our job. Not to wait till someone comes and says, so-and-so needs, or this needs, but we go zuch, and we look, what can we do to do that chesed in the world? And so it's a great legacy that I received, and Rachel received, and all of us really received from Leonor, to be an avas chesed, to be one who really seeks out chesed. And the other quality is vatzneah lechesim elokecha, very modest person. Never looked for accolades. Larry was the very same. If you didn't push him, you wouldn't know what he did. And every time there was something in the paper, he would apologize to me. Rabbi, it wasn't my doing. I didn't want it. And I used to tell him how important it is for people to see you as a role model. He says, well, I don't know if I agree with you, Rabbi. He didn't want to be, especially that they should be pointed out, that they're great balei chesed, ahavas chesed. They felt this is their role. This is what they have to do in the world. And so that hatzneah lechesim elokecha is the other great thing she taught us. I said to Marilyn, and with this I'll finish, that another great midah of Leonor was, in Larry also, I never heard them speak Lashon Hara. And I was with her every Friday, and we spoke about her childhood and all kinds of things. Never did she speak Lashon Hara. And the truth is, Lashon Hara also comes from chesed. What is Lashon Hara? A lot of times we judge people. That's what Lashon Hara is. A lot of times when people catch it, they say, well, it's true. We judge people. Chesed means to give slack to someone. That's the greatest chesed there is. Not to judge people, but to give slack. And when someone doesn't meet what you think the standard should be, you should understand there's something in their background, there's a reason. Give them some slack. Don't be so quick to judge them. So Lashon Hara, in a sense, is also a form of the ultimate chesed, the chesed of giving people a slack. And that was their personalities. And that's why, too, that midah went together with a very active doing of chesed. Yehi zichra baruch. May she be an inspiration for all of us.
When we come to the point of Hakamat Matzeva, establishing a monument, it means that the period of mourning is passing. And now is the period of memory, of remembering the life of an individual. At the funeral, the rabbi, a few family members, maybe a few close friends, offer words of eulogy. I'd like to do now is give everybody who would like to the opportunity to share a memory, maybe an anecdote, maybe a midah, a quality of Leonor that you experienced in your own relationship with her. So if anybody has a few brief words, a thought, an anecdote, now would be a great time to share it with all of us in memory of Leonor.
Well, on my point, she would always, particularly in her last years of her life, refer to me as a son. And it really meant a lot to me. I mean, I was very privileged to know her, and she was everything that one could ask.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I loved her wit. I have a funny story at Sarah's wedding. There were only two people who were too tired in the afternoon. That was Leonor and myself, and we both went to sleep in her room. Do you remember that? We took a whole nap, missed out the tour and everything. But she was delighted to have my company because she felt bad that she was the only one. I said, I need a nap too. And it was great. It was great.
For those that don't know, Marilyn Stewart's 3 children all got married within the space of less than a year, a few months, 4.5 months across the globe. And so it was very exhausting for Leonore, I remember. Anyone else?
I remember the time that some of Rabbi staff, one of Rabbi staff, his last action before he passed away, was the unveiling of the ambulance, American David ambulance. I was there, I heard some speeches, and I was really impressed. I've never been such an event like that, you know, with the ambulance with just his name on it. And I will never forget that day.
Rabbi, I'd like to say something.
Please.
Represent the Dayton group, where Leonora and Larry lived for 50 years. My name is Herman Abramowitz. I'm Leslie Chase's father. But anyway, Leslie Abramowitz, yes, that's right. But anyway, as Marilyn knows, we were across the street neighbors with Larry and Leonora for over 15 years in Dayton. Larry was very instrumental in building our Hillel Academy. He was the first major donor we had for the Hillel Academy. He put together as Rabbi Millen knows, his brother was one of our directors of rabbis for the Hillel, but he gave us the Zussman Library at Hillel Academy, Dayton, Ohio. And they were very unique. I remember when I sent Larry up to the Cleveland Clinic for a heart valve operation, he couldn't get over how well everything went up there, but they were just very, very special.